My brother stole my $1 million inheritance. 2 years later, I gave him a wedding gift that made him cry, not from guilt, but from fear. It wasn't gold or diamonds or anything you could put a price on. It was something much smaller, but it carried the weight of every sleepless night, every word I never said, and every wound he left behind. This story isn't just about money. It's about betrayal, the kind that only family can inflict. It's about patience, the quiet kind that grows stronger in the dark. And it's about revenge, not the kind that spills blood, but the kind that waits, watches, and strikes when the moment is right. Because sometimes the best revenge doesn't scream. It whispers. What you're about to hear is more than a tale of payback. It's a story about losing everything and learning how to rebuild from nothing. It's about how trust can be the sharpest knife, how success can be the sweetest silence, and how time, not anger, can be your greatest weapon. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you would have done anything for? I have. And before I tell you what I did to my brother, before I show you how one small gift changed everything, let me take you back to where it all began, the day my father passed away. The day of the will reading changed everything. I was 32, the quiet one in the family, the kind of person who never raised his voice, even when I should have. My brother Michael, 3 years older, was the opposite. Ambitious, charming, the kind of man who always knew how to get what he wanted. He had my father's confidence, his approval, his name engraved on the company walls. I didn't envy him. I respected him. Or at least I used to. When my father passed, I was the one who stayed with him through the sleepless nights, the hospital visits, the slow fading of his voice. I thought that would mean something. I thought love and loyalty still had value. That morning, I walked into the lawyer's office with shaking hands but a steady heart. I expected fairness. What I got instead was a sentence that cut through me like glass. To my eldest son, Michael, the lawyer read aloud, I leave the house, the company, and the $1 million inheritance. To my younger son, Daniel, I leave my watch to remind him that time is his greatest wealth. I can still hear the sound of my brother's faint laugh, the kind that tries to sound polite but bleeds arrogance. He turned to me and smiled, not kindly, but victoriously. I sat there frozen, holding back every emotion that threatened to break through my chest. When it ended, I stood, thanked the lawyer, and walked out without saying a word. Outside, the air felt heavier. I'd lost my father, and at that moment, it felt like I'd lost my family too. A week later, I found out the truth. My brother had visited my father alone weeks before his death, convincing him to change the will, telling him I wasn't ready, that I'd waste everything. He played the perfect son, the one who knew how to twist love into control. I wasn't just angry. I was hollow. Losing my father was one kind of pain. Losing faith in my brother, that was another entirely. I didn't speak to him for a whole year. I packed my things, left our hometown, and moved to a small city where no one knew my name. I found an office job, lived quietly, and tried to start over. Every morning felt the same. Heavy, empty, meaningless. I stopped answering calls, stopped visiting anyone who knew me before, but every night I'd sit at my desk, holding the only thing I had left from my father, his old silver watch. The ticking filled the silence of my apartment. Every tick reminded me, patience, son, patience. I didn't want revenge fueled by anger. I wanted something cleaner, something lasting. I decided to rebuild, not to destroy him, but to rebuild myself first. I started reading books about business, finance, investments. I stayed up late, learning, failing, trying again. The first year was hard. I lost money, made mistakes, and almost gave up. But that watch kept ticking, and I kept moving. Slowly, I began to understand how money worked, how time, when used right, could become power. 3 years later, I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. I built a small investment firm, earned my first major deal, and had more than my father ever did. I was still quiet, still calm, but inside I was sharper, stronger, and ready for the day fate would bring my brother back into my life. Then came the day my brother called. His voice sounded nothing like before. The confidence, the charm, gone. What was left was panic. "Daniel," he said, I need your help. The company's falling apart. I don't know who else to turn to. You're the only one I can count on now." For a second, I almost believed him. Maybe he'd changed. Maybe losing everything had humbled him. But then I remembered that will, that smile, that cold manipulation. And I realized men like him don't change. They only call when they're desperate. So I told him I'd think about it. He thanked me like a drowning man grabbing for a rope. When the call ended, I sat there, silent, staring at the watch ticking on my wrist. Within a week, I started making calls of my own, not to help him, but to finish what he started years ago. Through a third party, I began quietly buying up the company's remaining shares. One by one, I took control, silently, patiently. No one knew, not even him. By the time he was planning his wedding to some wealthy heiress, the company he thought he still owned already belonged to me. I didn't brag. I didn't confront him. I just waited, because I knew the perfect moment was coming. His wedding day, my moment of silence. The ceremony was extravagant, full of laughter and champagne. Michael looked like the man who had everything again. When he saw me arrive, he grinned, maybe thinking I'd finally forgiven him. During the reception, I walked up to him, calm and polite, and handed him a small black box. "A gift," I said. "Something for your new beginning." He opened it, expecting money or something fancy. Instead, inside was a single silver key and a small note that read, "To the new beginning." He laughed, confused. "A key?" I leaned close and whispered, "That key opens the office of your old company. I bought it last month. You work for me now." The laughter around us continued, but his smile vanished. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes, the kind that comes when a man realizes he's been beaten at his own game. I didn't stay to watch him fall apart. I didn't need to. I turned around, walked out of the hall, and left him standing there among his guests. That day, I didn't shout. I didn't gloat. I just smiled, because finally, I was free. It took me years to understand that revenge isn't about hurting someone back. It's not about watching them fall or making them suffer the way you did. Real revenge is quiet. It's showing them you didn't need them to win. That the version of you they tried to break, survived, grew, and came back stronger than they could ever imagine. All those years of anger, sleepless nights, and regret, they weren't wasted. They built me. They taught me that time, not rage, is the sharpest weapon. Because time doesn't just heal, it reveals. And when it finally did, I didn't have to raise my voice or fight back. All I had to do was stand there, calm and steady, and let him see what he'd lost. Maybe one day, I'll forgive him. Maybe I'll look at him not as the brother who betrayed me, but as the man who unknowingly gave me everything I needed to change my life. But for now, I'm grateful. Grateful that he taught me what family really means, that blood isn't always loyalty, and that silence can be louder than revenge. I thought the story ended that night. I thought I'd closed